I got a remote control. That means I can come to you guys and speak to you and do like this. And I still can switch my slides. How do you like that? You guys not from Wroclaw. So this is another talk I have to give in the morning. I usually, what's wrong with my slides? I mean, they are fucking, not the way they should be, but anyway. So I just had like the condition not to drink too much. Oh.
Oh my God.
It's German.
Yes. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, anyway. Maybe one time I'll get a Mac and everything will work out of the box and I can use the nice remote control of you guys and just. But I stopped ranting about Apple, right? So yeah, yesterday I planned not to drink too much, and actually, of course, it didn't work because I'm in Poland and people are very friendly and so on and so on. I'm going to speak about that in the next 45 minutes. And this is my mother. She's nice, isn't she? And my mother, she's always like, when I give, so I'm going to conferences, and she's always like, son, I'm so proud of you. You must be like she sees me like the speaker and like a smart guy on stage and talking about like technical stuff and yeah, like with a lot of nerds. And then I introduce software concepts and stuff. And there are smart people in the audience. I'm talking about you guys. And yeah, it's like it's very technical and stuff, but usually the conferences are what I like about the conferences is more about I call it the social aspect. And so I try to enjoy and I try to have fun with people. And yes, sometimes it's sometimes it's a lot of fun at conferences. And so this is what I like about conferences. My mother, she's always like, son, you're drinking too much. Because every time I come home from a conference, I have to tell her about the conference. And I don't talk about like, oh, there was a great talk about Event Machine. I'm more like, hey, there was a great after party and we were fucking drunk. And so she's always like, son, you have to worry about your health. You're getting an alcoholic because you're drinking all the time. I mean, it's not true. I'm not an alcoholic, right? And so I have to tell my mother that I'm not an alcoholic. I already tweeted about it, but she doesn't believe me. And so what I already told you, I like conferences a lot. And I love the social part of it, like the people and talking to humans. And maybe talking about technical stuff, but not all the time. Like I like talking about beers and what people do in their free time and what kind of beers people like. Where's Alex, by the way? Ah, there you are. Have a seat, my friend. And who was at the Eureka last year? Wow, a lot of people. Who's planning to go this year? 10, the same people as last year. Sorry, I have to cough every once in a while because it's the cold Polish weather. I just came from South Africa, so it's a little bit different. And what I really love about software conferences is, I already told you, like the people and alcohol, blah, 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 blah. And it's also like you go to a bar at, let's say, 1 o'clock in the morning, and people still discuss software stuff. And they are very, very serious and very passionate about that. And but they also have a lot of, they usually have a lot of respect for each other. So if people like, if they insult each other, they still have respect for that kind of stuff. And that is what I really love about Ruby conferences. This is very special in the Ruby community. So there is a lot of respect. And yeah. And there's also, I mean, we have like celebrities, like people where you see them and they're like, oh, this is like Tom Preston, the founder of GitHub. and he's like a millionaire, and wow, so let's say hello, but nah, I don't dare. But the cool thing in the Ruby community is there is no hierarchy. Like people are like friendly, and they like to talk, and they like to drink, and so this was at the I think it was in Texas at the Lone Star Ruby conference, and we had a lot of fun. And the lesson I learned from a lot of these Ruby conferences where I hang around with celebrities. How do you like celebrities? Hey, you are a celebrity, stop it. So one lesson I learned is that so we don't have celebrities, we just have respect for each other. And I saw this line in a tram in South Africa. It's just greet each other and smile. It's like this is my first lesson how to yield respect to people. And we already had that at the Ruby conference in Lone Star conference, because I think he's a celebrity, but he still is like greeting, and oh, people are smiling. You can't see him. I'm sorry. I have to shift my slides. What's wrong here on my laptop? And so yeah, you should keep in mind that if you want to be respectful, just greet each other and smile. It's not the only slide I have about you. And my first trip to Poland was so this is where how I learned about respect about people is all the trips to conferences. And my first conference in Poland was the RUPI in Poznan, 2009. Who was there? Oh, how did you like it? It was good, right? That was my first trip to Poland. You know, I'm from Germany. By the way, my name is Nick. Friends call me Nick, so just call me Nick. And it was the first time I came to beautiful, beautiful Poland. And this is not from the Poznan trip. This is from the Euroco in Krakow. And sorry. Hey guys, you're late. So can you see anything at all? Good. So what happened on my first conference? Have a seat. What happened on my first conference in Poland was I came here, I felt welcome. And we instantly had like beers and stuff, and we went to a bar, Snatch. What is the Polish name? Sekret. It's here in Wroclaw. And we were, so I got drunk because I was trying to be a good guest. And the next day I was sick, and I had to give a talk, and after the talk I had to puke and stuff. And yeah, this is the guy who showed me Poland and who made me feel welcome here. And this is how I felt after my first day in beautiful Poland. The slides are very dark. I mean, maybe I can just turn around my laptop and you can watch the slides here, because I think it's better. And he also showed me like a typical Polish breakfast. And yeah, after my breakfast and after bringing up the food in his toilet, every neighbor could hear it, I became an honored pub citizen of the city of Wroclaw. Thank you very much. This was a wonderful talk, and you're a great audience. And after I went to Wroclaw, the first time I went to Poland, a lot of times again, because I really love Poland, beautiful Poland. And I went to, let's say, Krakow, and people are very friendly, and have a lot of hospitality here in Poland. So I always say Polish people are like Germans, but a little bit more friendly. And then we had, so they invited me having a dinner at the Mediterranean yoga table, and so Bart, he's not here, I guess. Where is he? No, he's not here. He gave me socks because I didn't have enough socks with me, so he gave me socks. And there's like people in Poland are very, very friendly. And then he gave me vodka. And there's like a game in Krakow. I don't know if you know it. It's like you have a big spoon with fruits on it, and if you manage to put it in your mouth without like at once, you win. And so I had a hard competitor, Agata. She did it, but I did it as well. And of course, I became an honored pub citizen of Krakow. Oh, wow. Oh, fuck, you can't read my tagline. So my slides really suck. Can you please Twitter that? So what, there is like this is my blog. And my blog's tagline is Respecting Local Traditions since 1981. And this was born actually in Poland when I was in the Czechret. And I can't remember it, but obviously I said like, it was like, hey, Nick, do you want vodka? We drink vodka here in Poland. And I said, yes, of course I want vodka, because I have to respect local traditions. And so this is how my tagline on my blog was born. And so what I learned from the last conference is like, my talk is about respect, and like, yeah, respect is being nice. And what I learned is like, nice people are nice. And I want to focus a little bit about how, I don't say I'm nice, I say I like nice people. And I want to tell you a little bit about what makes people nice in this talk. And yeah, so I got invited to this conference. I didn't apply. And I was very excited about that. And then suddenly there was like, oh, you have to give a keynote. And usually the keynote is in the morning, and I know, fuck, in the morning you have to get up and you're drunk and stuff like that. But I still felt honored to give a keynote. I know my slides still suck, but yeah. And I don't know why, but suddenly there was the topic, the talk title, What's Missing in Rails? You dropped your badge. And who came up with this? Because I didn't do anything. Like suddenly there was like Nick Sutterer keynote, What's Missing in Rails? And I didn't email. So I was like, okay, should I give a tech talk? Yeah, with like people looking at computers and nice people in suits and a lot of technical discussions, and it's very interesting. Or should I talk about nice people and have a seat, my friend? Oh, nice shirt. Let me see that. Wow. So should I talk about nice people and beers and communication, audience, getting drunk with wonderful guys from all over the world and passing out? And so I think it's up to you. So you can choose. I mean, do you want to have a tech talk, or do you want to have... I have two talks with me. I can switch now. Do you want to have a tech talk? Do you want to have a talk about nice people? Please, who's for the tech talk?
Does it have working slides?
I never have working slides. Do you want? Who's for talk about nice people? Okay, that's obvious. Like almost 90%. So wonderful. I don't have to switch now. I'm so happy. These are Germans. Germans are very nice as well. Who's been to Germany already? It's like, okay, like 5 people. Do you know that people in Germany, we all like Poland, but we don't know anything about Poland. It's very interesting, because when I came the first time to Poland, I was like, oh, this is awesome and nice people, because what's wrong with us? I mean, we are neighbors. I come to Poland every year, like 2 or 3 times, so if you come to Germany, just let me know and I'll show you around. Right, my talk was about respect. I forgot it. And what I found out is if you want to respect people, if you want to treat people nice, and if you want to treat nice people nice, then you have to respect people, and respecting other people is usually linked to respecting yourself. And I also want to talk a little bit about respecting respecting yourself. And when I say respect, I don't mean like worshipping people, like, oh, you're a celeb. Oh, so where is he? Here. Oh, you're a celebrity. I mean like respecting is usually like I like people for being nice. I like people for being smart and stuff like that. So I'm not talking about worshipping. Wow, interesting. So the key ingredients for respecting people is respecting yourself as. And when I started, look at this beautiful picture. It's like the sun rising on the planet Earth, and it's like the galaxy. It's about the beginning, how I came to open source. And I started with, I did a lot of Perl, and my first open source project. So I want to talk about how open source made me respect people. And my first project was UIK. It's Your User Interface Kit. It was a Perl library, like a widget framework, and you could render the user interface to web and to GTK and to Qt. So awesome stuff, like 10 years ago. That was my first experience with open source. Nobody used it because I didn't release it. But then luckily, I came to Rails. And I started with Rails 1.1. Did you use Rails 1.1? 1.1 once. And so I started Rails, and after like 2 hours, I wanted to build a component like, let's say, like a shopping cart, which appears on different pages. You guys are getting bored now. Now it's getting a technical talk. And I wanted to have a component, and yeah, there was like a render partial, and then you could render a partial, and you had to pass in variables and stuff. And I'm not going, so we could stare at this slide now for hours, but I'm not going to talk about details. Hey, here's free seats down here. Come to me. Be nice, please be nice. Nice people are nice. And so I had a problem with that the controller is bound to the partial. So when I used the partial in different controllers, then the controller had to know about the instance variables, and it wasn't really reusable because the partial is not really like distributable and stuff. And the testing sucked because I couldn't render the partial standalone in a test. And so I sat there and was like, this is shit. And so after 3 hours of Rails, my Ruby was horrible at that time. It still is, but I think it's getting better. But I started writing the cells plugin. I'm not going to talk about the cells plugin today. How cool is that? But yes, this was my initial start for open source. I started writing, it wasn't a gem, it was just a plugin. How are you guys today?
Good, thanks. Awesome.
Good to see you. And so the point about the cells plugin is, just one slide or two. It's like instead of having one monolithic page controller, which is called MVC in Rails, it's not MVC, it's just a big code pile which is rendering a template, and we call that PHP. The difference is that you have, test, check. The difference with cells is that you have small, like MVC, as in MVC. Like you have small controllers, and you model your user interface with components. This is like MVC, as MVC is meant to be. And yeah, that's roughly about cells. And yeah, just to give you some teasing, who's using cells, by the way? So instead of rendering a partial, you render a cell. And you pass in some parameters, and a cell usually looks like a controller. So you have small controllers you can render in your page. And so it looks like an action controller, but it's a cell. And you have views, and you can access your instance variables in the views, and so on and so on and so on. And you can test it. I come over here a little bit. How are you guys? And so you can test it, isolate it, and stuff. So this is my cells gem. This is how I came to real open source development. And what I wanted to fight is monolithic applications. Isn't this a great metaphor for monolithic applications? I mean, wow. By the way, when is my talk supposed to end?
About 11:15.
Oh, because we have lots of time. So, what do you think about monolithic applications? It's so early. I never gave a talk at 10:30. It's like, why is the keynote? No, why do conferences start that early? I mean, what is the reason? We could start at 11, like people can sleep till 10, and then you go here, and yeah. And it's like two talks less at a day, but it's, yeah. Anyway. Steve, how are you?
I'm good.
How's your book?
It's good.
Wow, he's...
Yeah.
Did you just close your Apple? Like, did you close your... Wow.
I wanted to check the schedule to see how long my talk was. When you said that, I had no idea how long my talk is supposed to be.
So that means you never finished your slides so far.
No, they're done. I gave this talk at LA RubyConf a couple weeks ago.
So if
half an hour.
but if it's like 45 minutes, what do you do now? I mean, you have to like stretch it.
No,
I mean, that means you have to talk bullshit. Like,
I talked too fast at LA RubyConf actually, so 45 minutes would be
when did you give the talk the last time?
3 weeks ago
In
in
at
LA.
the LA RubyConf?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was awesome.
Okay. It was at the same time as the Ruby Fusa in South Africa, which was awesome as well. But LA is cool. Monolithic applications, monolithic applications, monolithic applications. This was in, this is a nice building in Dniepropetrovsk. I was there at the Ruby Shift conference last year. It was wonderful. Who was there? I know you guys. So I came to open source. I had fun. I would code stuff, and I really learned a lot from people's commits and stuff. But the problem was there was like, this is Ruby gems statistics, and anybody was using it. So it's like yeah, maybe let's say 10 or 30 downloads a day, and this was a big problem for me over years, because I thought I have a good project, but people didn't use it, and it's a little bit disappointing if you're working on something and then you see people they do an awesome job like advertising their gems, and people using it like, oh, you're so great, and then you have your gem and you have 10 downloads a day. That sucks. But luckily, open source is about open source. And there were people like Peter Becks from Netherlands and Mike Pence from the United States and Michał Lomnicki, drunken bastard from Poland. And they joined the project over the time, and they committed stuff. And so there was like, OK, nobody's using it, but some people have to use it, because otherwise there wouldn't be people contributing. And this already felt very good. But no, there's no but. It's like it felt good, period. Michał, I'm still waiting for your patch to make cells work with Rails 4. Oh, yeah, this is a nice picture. Marcin, where is he?
Drunk.
He's drunk. I'm drunk as well, but I'm here. So where did the applicate guys? Is anyone of those here?
They are awake, but they aren't here still.
OK, but they will come, right?
Yeah.
They are missing my talk. And so I did open source, and people joined it and contributed. But the problem was nobody was using it because I didn't have a blog. I just had a shitty web page. I was trying to find a screenshot of it because it was so horrible. It was like, do you know track? And it was like a track page, and it looks shitty out of the box. And I didn't use GitHub. I used Ruby Forge.
Yeah.
Ruby Forge. And so people were like, hey, you have to use GitHub. It's awesome. You can fork it. And I was like, it's new shit, and I don't like new shit. I don't have Apple, so I don't want GitHub. And so people never picked the idea up, so I didn't get any respect. And I started with Rails 1.2.3, and this was like a horrible piece of code, but a lot of people contributed, and I learned Ruby from the other people's contribution and stuff. And then there was 2.0, which was, I think it was the same pile of shit, the gem, I mean. And then 2.1, we didn't release a gem for 2.1 because the internals in Rails were so, sorry to say that, fucked up, that we decided not to release something for 2.1. And then we did 2.2 and 2.3. And was there any 2.2 at all? I can't remember. So yeah, so I always say we, it was me. I stayed, I tried to maintain my gem over years and years. And I saw it like sometimes you get an email. And then I started blogging, and people, so there were good comments, but there were also bad comments. So for example, I mean, look at this. I love Ruby Flow because there are always anonymous cowards, and they're like, Potonik, when will you stop advertising your sales plugin in every of your blog posts? And I mean, that's what a blog is for. It's for advertising your stuff. But I got a lot of shitty comments because maybe I sold it the wrong way. Because yeah, I was new to blogging. I was new to GitHub, and this is a very recent comment. This is yeah. And then I did my jam. I did it for years and a lot of Ruby Rails versions. And yeah, it was like, okay, some people use it, but not a lot of people. And so I thought, like, maybe this is a little bit shit. And then I came to, I met Yehuda Katz at a conference. And this was like, so I was really on the fence. I was like, okay, I do a lot of work in open source, but I don't get respect. And it sucks because it's a lot of work. And you just work, and people use it, but they don't tell you that it's cool or whatever. And then I met Yehuda. And there was Rails 3.0 coming up. And he instantly liked the idea of cells. And then he sat down with me one night, and we just coded cells for Rails 3.0, because it's a perfect application of the Rails internal API. So cells is nothing more than a usage of the Rails API. And so this was like this completely changed my mind. So suddenly there was someone from the core, and he gave me like attention, and he said, "Hey, this is cool. Let's code and stuff." And so instead of stopping working on open source, I continued because Sales for 3.0 was a very slim and a very clean implementation, and suddenly people started using it. So this is I don't know, like half a year ago, and suddenly there were like thousands of downloads every day, and this was. Because I started blogging and I started GitHub. And this also was because the Rails core team suddenly started talking about cells as well. So there was like a link on the Rails blog, blah, blah, blah. The new API is awesome. Check out the cells gem. It's a perfect application of the Rails API. And suddenly there were like hundreds of users interested in cells. And this made me happy. And also my blog also got very busy suddenly. So when I blogged, there were like, let's say, 2,000 people, a reader a day. So this was like a very, 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 popular post. So I usually had like 500 readers when I published some new posting. And I mean, that felt good, but I still got a lot of stupid comments and like people telling me. So there was one posting, and somebody was like, this concept is ridiculous, blah, 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 your sales jam sucks. And then the other one was, yeah, fuck you, you're a nut. So people were very aggressive on my blog. I don't know why, because I tried to be nice, and I tried to show them, like, hey, this is my idea of doing software. How do you like it? You're a nut, fuck you, this is ridiculous. And so I was like, okay, I'm chilled now, because there are like 100,000 downloads, so people use it, so it can't be that wrong. And so this made me like, so the more people used my stuff, the more relaxed I got about it. And I'm like, pff. So you have been working for 5 years, but finally people pick it up, so relax. I like this one. I did a post, it's called, What the fuck is MVP? And I just put, what the fuck is MVP on RubyFlow, and then they changed it to, what the fuck is MVP? There are kids who read this. Watch the language, please. And the cool thing was, so if people use your stuff in open source, they start blogging about it. And it was like a very nice experience. So suddenly I read stuff about cells on blogs, and people were like discussing stuff, and they were discussing it nicely, they were constructive about it and not bashing it anymore. And there were people on my IRC channel. You can see it on the right column. There are lots of people, and they were chatting. So if you have an open source project, you need an IRC channel. Who's running an open source project? 1, 5. Weź nie pierdol. So basically, to summarize, I did open source. It was a hard way in the beginning, but oops, it really made me feel better, and it really rocks if you work on an open source project. Do you work on an open source project? If not, why not?
I do, actually.
Aha, he does. And then I started going to conferences and like meeting people and giving smart technical talks, not keynotes. And I just like pictures of people eating, so I have a lot of pictures like that. And I'm not talking about the right guy, I'm talking about this. What is this? Hey, come in, my friends. I was just talking about you guys. You're late, by the way. So what is this guy? Is it like a mascot or something? It's in Krakow. Okay. Must be some local dude. And then so open source, and then I had like conferences and stuff, and we also did like an Apodemo camp, like an Apodemo and Cells camp. So we met in Berlin, and we just were people from Poland, people from Germany, and we were just hacking, and then the hacking turned into eating, and we had good food. And I showed the Polish guys, I showed them the typical German food, the Döner kebab from. And yeah, then I showed them some more traditions, like walking around in the streets with a bottle of beer, with a box of beer, or maybe another box of beer, or a six-pack. And if it got too heavy, you just give it to your friend, and then he will carry it. And so what I loved about the, okay, I'll go back to this one. Haha. So what I love about the open source stuff, the way we did it was like Nicolas, I missed you. What I liked about it was we had software and technical stuff, and we had good times as well. So this is like what I love about open source is like the mixture of professionality and